Let's start with a question, a big one. What if I told you that the secret to a truly abundant life, a life filled with joy, connection, and purpose, isn't about hustling harder? What if it isn't about climbing another rung on the ladder or checking off one more thing from your endless to-do list? We live in a culture that screams, do more, be more, achieve more. We are constantly measured by our productivity, our accomplishments, our output. But I want you to pause for a moment, right here, right now, and ask yourself a different question. What if the secret isn't in the doing at all? What if the deepest, most profound source of our power lies simply in the being? This is a tough concept for many of us to swallow. I know it was for me. For years, I believed my worth was directly tied to how much I could produce, how many papers I could publish, how many tasks I could juggle. I wore my exhaustion like a badge of honor. The idea of simply being felt lazy, unproductive, and frankly, a little bit scary. It required a level of trust in myself that I hadn't yet cultivated. It meant believing that I was enough, just as I am, without all the doing and striving. This is the heart of our conversation today. The journey back to an energy that doesn't demand proof of its worth. It just is. This journey is about reconnecting with what we call feminine energy. Now hold on. Before you picture flowing dresses or a specific kind of personality, let's be clear. This has nothing to do with gender in the way we typically think about it. It's an essence, a way of moving through the world that exists within all of us, regardless of how we identify. It's the counterbalance to the driving, linear, action-oriented energy that our world so loudly celebrates. It's the quiet, intuitive, and deeply powerful force that we've been taught to ignore, to suppress, and to fear. But it's the very thing that holds the key to healing our burnout and finding our way back to ourselves. So I invite you to get curious. I invite you to be brave enough to question the hustle. What could your life look like if you allowed yourself to soften, to receive, to flow? What might unfold if you trusted the wisdom that whispers instead of shouts? This isn't about abandoning your goals or your ambition. It's about fueling them from a different place, a place of wholeness, not a place of lack. It's about learning to dance with both the doing and the being, creating a life that is not just successful on the outside, but deeply fulfilling on the inside. This is where the real magic, the real abundance begins. Let's get clear on what we're talking about when we say feminine energy. It's a term that has been misunderstood and misrepresented for a long, long time. It is not about being submissive, weak, or passive. It is not defined by your appearance, your clothes, or whether you fit into some outdated stereotype of womanhood. Feminine energy is a powerful primal force. It is the energy of flow, like a river that moves around obstacles with persistent grace. It is the energy of intuition, that gut feeling, that deep inner knowing that speaks to you when you quiet the noise of the outside world. It is the energy of creation, not just of life, but of art, of ideas, of connection, of home. Think of it this way. If masculine energy is the structure of the house, the beams, the walls, the foundation, then feminine energy is the life within that house. It's the warmth from the fireplace, the smell of food cooking, the sound of laughter, the feeling of belonging. One is not better than the other. They are designed to work in harmony. Masculine energy is about doing, achieving, and pushing forward. It is focused, linear, and logical. Feminine energy is about being, receiving, and nurturing. It is cyclical, creative, and deeply connected to emotion and the wisdom held within the body. It's the part of us that knows how to rest, how to play, and how to heal. Unfortunately, our society has placed a much higher value on the masculine. We are taught from a very young age to admire the hustle, the logic, the relentless drive. We celebrate leaders who are decisive and action-oriented, but we often dismiss those who lead with empathy, collaboration, and intuition. We are told to think with our heads, not our hearts. We are taught to suppress our emotions, to see them as a sign of weakness rather than a source of information and guidance. This imbalance has created a world that is chronically burnt out, disconnected, and starved for the very qualities that feminine energy provides. When we talk about reclaiming feminine energy, we are talking about bringing our own internal world back into balance. It means honoring our intuition as a valid form of intelligence. It means recognizing that rest is not a luxury, but a necessity for creation. It means understanding that our emotions are our internal guidance system, pointing us toward what needs our attention. It is about embracing the messy, beautiful, and non-linear parts of ourselves and recognizing them not as flaws, but as the very source of our strength. our creativity, and our deepest wisdom. It is a radical act of self-acceptance. The disconnect from our feminine essence often starts young, and it's subtle. Think about the messages we receive as children. Little girls are often told, "Don't be so bossy," when they are leading, but also, "Don't be so sensitive," when they express their feelings. We are encouraged to be agreeable and nice, but also to compete and achieve in a system built on masculine metrics of success. The message is confusing. Be soft, but not too soft. Be strong, but not too strong. We learn very quickly that certain parts of us are acceptable and other parts are not. The parts that are intuitive, emotional, and vulnerable are often the first ones we are taught to hide away. This conditioning follows us into adulthood. In the workplace, we are often rewarded for working longer hours, for being constantly available, and for making decisions based on data and logic alone. The pressure to perform, to prove our worth through relentless action, is immense. We learn to operate almost exclusively from our masculine energy because that is what the world seems to demand. We push through exhaustion, ignore our body's signals for rest, and numb our feelings with busyness. We believe that this is what it takes to be successful, to be valuable, to be worthy. We put on our armor every single day and go into battle, often without even realizing we are at war with our own nature. The result of this constant striving is a deep and painful disconnection. We become disconnected from our bodies, treating them like machines that exist only to carry our brains from one task to the next. We become disconnected from our emotions, viewing them as inconvenient interruptions rather than vital messengers. We become disconnected from our intuition, that quiet inner voice that is so easily drowned out by the noise of our own thoughts and the demands of others. And ultimately, we become disconnected from our own inherent worthiness, believing it must be earned over and over again every single day. This isn't just a personal problem, it's a cultural one. We have created systems and structures that reward burnout and devalue rest. We have built a world that celebrates the destination but dismisses the journey. We have forgotten the importance of softness, of receiving, of simply being present. The great disconnect is not a personal failure. It is the predictable outcome of living in a world that is profoundly out of balance. The journey back to our feminine energy is not just a personal healing journey. It's an act of cultural rebellion. It's a quiet revolution that starts from within. How do you know if you are disconnected from your feminine energy? The signs are often things we've normalized as just, the stress of modern life. The most common sign is a pervasive feeling of burnout. It's that bone-deep exhaustion that no amount of sleep seems to fix. It's feeling like you're constantly running on a hamster wheel, pushing and striving, but never feeling like you're getting anywhere meaningful. This isn't just being tired, it's a depletion of your life force. It's when your inner well is completely dry because you have been giving and doing and pushing for so long without taking the time to replenish. Another clear sign is a need to control everything. When we don't trust the natural flow of life, we try to manage every outcome, plan every detail, and force things to happen. This can look like micromanaging people at work or at home, obsessing over plans, or feeling intense anxiety when things don't go the way you expected. This controlling behavior comes from a place of fear. It's a fear that if you let go, if you surrender, everything will fall apart. True feminine energy, however, understands the power in surrender. It knows that some of the most beautiful outcomes are the ones we could never have planned for. Difficulty with receiving is another huge red flag. Think about it. When someone gives you a compliment, do you brush it off or immediately say something self-deprecating? When someone offers to help you, is your first instinct to say, no, I've got it? This inability to receive, whether it's help, a compliment, pleasure, or even just a moment of rest, is a classic sign of being stuck in masculine, action-oriented energy. Giving and doing feel productive and safe. Receiving requires vulnerability. It requires you to believe that you are worthy of getting something without having to earn it in that exact moment. Finally, a major sign is feeling creatively blocked or uninspired. Feminine energy is the source of our creativity, our passion, and our sense of wonder. When we are disconnected from it, life can start to feel dull, gray, and monotonous. We go through the motions, but the spark is gone. You might feel a longing for something more, a sense of purpose that feels just out of reach. This isn't because you lack talent or ideas. It's because the channel through which your creativity flows has been blocked by stress, exhaustion, and the pressure to be productive, rather than playful. Recognizing these signs is the first brave step toward coming home to yourself. So, how do we begin this homecoming? How do we reconnect with this vital part of ourselves? It starts with small, intentional acts of self-devotion. The first and most radical act is to embrace rest. I'm not just talking about getting 8 hours of sleep. I'm talking about true, unapologetic rest. This means scheduling downtime in your calendar and treating it as a non-negotiable appointment. It means taking a nap without guilt. It means lying on the couch and doing absolutely nothing. Rest is not the reward for hard work, it is the foundation upon which all sustainable work is built. It's where your well gets refilled. Next, get back into your body. We spend so much time living in our heads, analyzing, planning, and worrying. Feminine energy lives in the body, in our sensations. The antidote to overthinking is feeling. This can be as simple as putting on a song you love and moving in whatever way feels good. Not for exercise, not to burn calories, but purely for the pleasure of it. It could be stretching, dancing in your kitchen, or taking a slow, mindful walk where you pay attention to the feeling of your feet on the ground. It can also mean engaging your senses, light a candle, savor a piece of chocolate, or take a warm bath. It is about pleasure for pleasure's sake. We must also learn to feel our emotions. For so long, we've been taught to numb, suppress, or rationalize our feelings. Reconnecting with your feminine energy means giving yourself permission to feel it all. The joy, the grief, the anger, the fear. Emotions are data. They are your inner guidance system telling you what is and isn't working for you. This can look like journaling, talking to a trusted friend or therapist, or simply sitting in silence and asking yourself, what am I feeling right now? Without judgment. Allowing emotions to move through you, rather than getting stuck in you, is a profound act of healing. Finally, create for the pure joy of it. Not for a side hustle, not to post on social media, but just for you. Paint, draw, write a poem, bake a cake, plant a garden. The act of creation is a direct line to your feminine essence. It is not about the outcome. It is about the process. It's about allowing yourself to be messy, to experiment, and to play. These practices, rest, movement, feeling, and creating, are not just items on a self-care checklist. They are sacred practices that call you back home to the wisdom, power, and abundance that already resides within you. When you start to consciously honor and cultivate your feminine energy, the transformation doesn't just happen on the inside. It creates a powerful ripple effect that touches every single area of your life. Your relationships begin to change. When you operate from a place of fullness rather than depletion, you show up differently for the people you love. You become a better listener because you are more present. You have more compassion for others because you have cultivated it for yourself. When you stop trying to control everything, you create space for others to be themselves, fostering deeper intimacy and trust. Your connections become less about obligation and more about genuine, joyful co-creation. Your work and your sense of purpose will also transform. This isn't about working less, it's about working differently. By listening to your intuition, you'll make decisions that are more aligned with your true path. You'll find that creativity flows more easily, and you'll come up with innovative solutions that logic alone could never have reached. You will learn to attract opportunities rather than endlessly chasing them. Your worth will no longer be tied to your productivity, which frees you to take risks, pursue passion projects, and define success on your own terms. You begin to work from a place of inspiration, not desperation. Embracing your feminine energy also heals your relationship with yourself, which is the most important relationship of all. You start to trust yourself more. You learn to honor your body's rhythms of energy and rest. You see your sensitivity not as a weakness, but as a superpower that allows you to connect deeply with the world. You stop looking outside of yourself for validation because you have found a deep well of worthiness within. This is the ultimate abundance, the feeling of being whole, complete, and enough, exactly as you are. It's a quiet confidence that doesn't need to be loud because it is rooted in profound self-acceptance. So, I leave you with this invitation. Your feminine energy is not something you need to go out and find. It is already within you, waiting patiently to be remembered, to be honored, to be trusted. It is your birthright. See it as your greatest source of strength, resilience, and wisdom. Look at your life today and ask yourself, where can I soften? Where can I let go of control? Where can I allow myself to simply receive? Trust the whispers of your intuition. Trust the wisdom of your body. Trust that you are worthy of rest. This is the path to a life that is not just achieved, but deeply and soulfully lived.